The Oklahoma City Thunder are heading to the NBA Finals after a dominating defensive performance. Let's talk about it all on today's show.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, media member and beat writer for Thunder and SI, Rylan Stiles. Follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow the show on Twitter at LOThunderPod. Email the show, LOThunderPod@gmail.com. On today's show, we're diving into the Oklahoma City Thunder making their return to the NBA Finals, their first trip since 2012, as this rebuild continues to play out just as the Thunder had hoped. They're now 4 wins away from an NBA championship. They've climbed the mountain and gotten back to the top of the NBA world, winning the Western Conference for the second time in franchise history and completely dismantling the Minnesota Timberwolves. This was a game that was uncompetitive to say the least. Minnesota just had no chance in this one. And it was because of the things that the Thunder did all season long, showing up in the biggest game. They always say that the toughest win to get is not only the next one, but the closeout win of a series. Up 3-1 at home, the Paycom Center was rocking, and the Thunder rolled 124-94 in a game that is worse than the scoreboard would indicate. At one point, OKC was up 39 points. I mean, it was 2-0 Timberwolves, then it was tied, and then the Thunder onslaught began. The Thunder's defense has been their bread and butter. They've been historically great. You can go back in an early October on this very show, hear me discussing how historically great this defense would be, and they continue tonight to have these avalanche-like runs where there was a spurt in that first quarter and that first half where it felt like Minnesota just could not stop turning the ball over. They couldn't get out of their own way. And eventually Minnesota ends up with 21 turnovers as this game was played in garbage time. A lot of those turnovers came as the Thunder were growing that lead to give OKC that lead. The Thunder turned them over. The Thunder out-rebounded them. The Thunder outworked them, out-efforted them, out-physicaled them. Like they were the more physical team. They were the team that had the most heart. They were the team that had the most grit, the most toughness, the most fight. And their defense was the star of the show. They completely and utterly took Anthony Edwards out of this entire series. Anthony Edwards is one of the best players in this league, and he was irrelevant for this series. He was forced to be a playmaker. He was forced to be a passer. To his credit, he made the right decisions. He made great passes. His teammates, couldn't come through for him enough, but he couldn't will them to this win. He couldn't will them in this series. He couldn't lead them as a scorer because the Thunder's defense was just too tough. That's not an indictment on Anthony Edwards. That is an appraisal of this Thunder defense, which makes everybody look that way. Like even Nikola Jokic, who's widely considered the best player in the world and who did take this Thunder team to 7 games, like there were moments in that series where he looked lost, where he looked like he couldn't figure it out. And he's the most cerebral, most talented player in this league, and the MVPs that he has on his shelf show that. So this is not an indictment on Anthony Edwards that you couldn't get it done against the Thunder because of how great their defense is, because this defense was tailor-made to take away top scoring options. Look how many times that they've let up, a 30-point night, especially from a guard. It hasn't happened very often from OKC. It hasn't happened very often for anybody. And then Julius Randle he couldn't get out of his own way. I mean, he was just dreadful for the most of this series. He was dreadful tonight. He gave up on plays because the Thunder broke their spirits. The Thunder's defense, as they're swarming you, as they're harassing you, as they're playing into your body, as they're being physical yet disciplined, and you keep turning it over, there are multiple plays where Julius Randle got his pockets picked and didn't even take a step toward the other side of the floor. Just didn't even want to try to play transition defense and to get back on defense. Because the Thunder will break you down, and they broke the Timberwolves down. This did not look like a team desperate to save their season. The Thunder forced them to look like a team who was desperate to get to Cancun, and that's where they're heading because of the Thunder's defense that held Minnesota to 21 turnovers, only 39 rebounds to the Thunder's 46. They shot 41% from the floor, 35% from three, and 80% at the free throw line. The Thunder dominate points in the paint. They were tied in second chance points. Fast break points went OKC's way, and the Thunder roll as they make 52% of their shots, 40% from three, and 85% at the free throw line for OKC, winning 124-94. And this series was a short one. I thought it was going to be a long one. Hand up, I was wrong. I thought the series was going to go 7 games, and it did not. It went 5 games. It was a gentleman's sweep for OKC, which was outside of Game 3. Way more dominant than not, right? The Game 3 was a lopsided blowout loss to Minnesota. Game 4 was nip and tuck, but Game 1, 2, and 5, just a complete and utter domination of this Minnesota Timberwolves squad. And the Thunder went out and took the Western Conference Finals. I mean, there's good reason why this Thunder team was doubted to some extent, right? Like yes, some of the doubting of them went too far, but this Thunder team making it to the NBA Finals is a complete and utter anomaly because you're not supposed to be able to do it as the youngest team in the field. You're not supposed to be able to do it at the age that this Thunder team is. One of their most important players is a 21-year-old in Cason Wallace. Their number 2 option is J-Dub, who's a third-year player. The number 3 option is Chet Holmgren, who has a season and a half of NBA basketball under his belt due to injury. Like, this stuff is not supposed to happen. You're not supposed to be this good this fast. And those guys stepped up in a massive way all series long, and specifically tonight. The injection of a veteran like Alex Caruso has paid dividends for this Thunder team in the playoffs to this point. Isaiah Hartenstein was a massive addition to fix a need. Like, this Thunder team has built a juggernaut. I mean, 68 wins in the regular season, and now you go 4-7-5 en route to the NBA Finals, and now you await the Eastern Conference winner, which obviously seems like it's going to be Indiana as they're up 3-1 in that series. But tonight's game was a blowout, and you're not going to remember it the way that you will say Game 4, which was an awesome game and one of the best games of the playoffs so far. But you should, because the Thunder just opened up a can on Minnesota. Minnesota, from the 10-minute mark of the first quarter, knew their fate, and they just outright quit because they had to. Because the Thunder made them quit. They had no answers. They couldn't stop OKC. They couldn't score on OKC. All they could do was wait for the time to expire. All they could do was sit on their hands and hope to God that game would mercifully end, and it did. Jaden McDaniels was terrible. Julius Randle was not good. I mean, he had 24 points on 57% shooting, largely in garbage time. The 4 turnovers doomed them in this game. Anthony Edwards was not good in this game. Mike Conley was not good in this game. Rudy Gobert was not good in this game. None of their role players, were good in this game. Nobody played good for Minnesota, and everybody played well for Oklahoma City, and that's kind of the story of tonight. The Thunder were the more assertive team, the more forceful team, and the Thunder were the team that I think showed how uncommon they are, as they've done throughout the season, of learning the lessons and learning the approach that you have to take to these things and what's required of you in a closeout game. That Denver series was huge for them because really throughout the rung of NBA history, that Denver series should have been a roadblock. That Denver series should have been, like, through the course of NBA history, a series that you take with you into the summertime and improve from there. The fact that this Thunder team could survive that Denver series, and not just survive it, but implement the lessons learned from that series into this one. And we'll talk about how J-Dub's done that, how Shai's done that coming up. But overall, for this first segment, it's just a hats off to the defense. It's a hats off to this Thunder team that continues to be doubted and continues to prove people wrong. And they did it in 5 games against Minnesota, the team that had been there before, the team that many people, some people had picked to win this series. The Thunder took care of business. Now, coming up, let's talk about SGA. Let's talk about J-Dub. Let's talk about the rest of this Thunder team and how they're in a great position for the finals and how they got here. But first, I want to say right now, my good friends over at FanDuel, go check out FanDuel today because FanDuel is awesome. The NBA playoffs are in full swing. Every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments, whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player. There's never been a better time to get on the action than now. FanDuel is an easy way to stay in the game before tip-off and even during the game with live bets, player props, and extremely awesome same-game parlays to really keep you in the action. Go check them out today at FanDuel.com because right now, if you're new to FanDuel, and you're a new customer, you can get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So if you're a new customer, go to FanDuel.com, place that $5 bet, and if it wins, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets. And you can go check it out right now at FanDuel because you can bet on the odds, player props, over-unders. New York Knicks, 4-point favorites in this game tonight. I'm taking the Pacers +4 to close out this series. Go check it out today at FanDuel.com. And if you're a new customer, that $5 down, if you win, gets you $200 in bonus bets. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. Thank you so much for making us your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you talking Thunder basketball. What a game, what a moment, what a season this has already been for OKC, and it's still going. It's still going to the NBA Finals, and they still await their opponent, which, again, we expect to be the Indiana Pacers. The Thunder just thoroughly dominated this game. They made this game a laugher, largely due to SGA, who scored or assisted on 24 of the Thunder's first 26 points. He ends up with 34 individual points. He ends up with 8 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 steals. He shoots 56% from the floor, 2 for 4 from 3, and 4 for 4 at the charity stripe. Oh, only 4 free throws, and one of them was handed to him by Chris Finch's whining, complaining, utterly useless self, because he could not coach his way out of a paper bag in this series. He had no adjustments, no answers for Oklahoma City, and all he could do was complain about the refs, and look where it got them. SGA was fantastic. He was in control of this game. He was in command of this game as a playmaker. He set his teammates up extremely well, but also just breaking down the Minnesota defense and understanding the assertiveness that was needed in a game like this as a scorer, but also making the adjustments to the Timberwolves' physicality and kind of pushing back against it. It's similar to what you saw Jokic do, where it's like, he saw the adjustment of the Thunder being more physical with him, and then he became the guy to hit first. And in game 3, it felt like, it felt like Minnesota was the guy to hit first in game 3. And in the last 2 games, SGA has just taken over that reign and bumped guys off their spots and been able to get to the rim at will, and utilizing that step back in the mid-range, just dictating where, when, and how he was going to score, and then going and doing it. And the Timberwolves had no answer. They had no resistance. They just could not stop him. And he got the unanimous Western Conference Finals MVP because of it. I thought that Shai was stellar. And then he drew the illegal screen that left Naz Reid and Chris Finch crying, surprise, surprise, to really salt this game away for the most part. Plus 23 points in this one, plus 23 in the plus minus in this one with 34 minutes played. SGA was stellar. I thought that J-Dub was really good. His box score is nowhere near the gaudy line that it has been in other games this postseason, but it didn't need to be because this was such a blowout. It was such an onslaught. It was only 19 points for him, but it was 19 efficient points on 50% shooting. He also had a block and a steal and 5 assists and 8 rebounds. J-Dub plays with such better force now than he did even 2 weeks ago. And J-Dub is like the picture poster child of how great this should feel for Oklahoma City to be this anomaly, to be a team no team in NBA history has ever done what the Thunder are doing right now. No team in NBA history has ever gotten to this point with not overlapping primes, guys not in their prime, like guys not even scratching their prime yet. And it's because of J-Dub and because of Chet that they are here, along with SGA, of course. But with J-Dub, again, 2 weeks ago against Denver, that game 6, where he had a dreadful stat line, that's the kind of game that most young players have to take with them to the summertime to get better, and it kind of lingers with them in the game 7. Then that's how you see like the losses stack up in a series, right? That you have a young player who you're really counting on, they have a bad game, and then it turns into 2 bad games, and then you've lost a series. For him to take that bad game 6, turn it into a stellar game 7 against Denver, and then a stellar series against Minnesota was critical in the Thunder's ability to get to the NBA Finals, but also a testament to, like, this team's not going anywhere. They're going to keep getting better. Chet Holmgren, who's played a year and a half of NBA basketball in total and broke his hip in November and is playing at this level now, is going to have a whole summer to get better and get distance from that hip injury and get better condition, better equipped for NBA basketball, while he's already making a championship level impact. He could have a ring on his finger while he's doing those off-season trials and tribulations to get better. Like, this team is beyond set up for the future. And J-Dub, what you saw from him in this series was against Denver, he did not play with the force required at this stage. In the playoffs, he had to understand how to become more explosive. He had to understand how to play more aggressively around the rim. And in the blink of an eye, he did it. Like, go back and listen to that Game 6 recap where we talked about how J-Dub was almost there, but those were massive things that he had to do to get over the hump, and then he did them. And then did it again, and then did it again, and then did it again, and now you're sitting here in the NBA Finals. Like, that's what makes this team so uncommon, because most guys can't do it that quickly. Most guys can't take those little things that they need to improve on and then improve on them right away. It usually takes a summer. It usually takes a season. It usually takes another playoff run. For these guys, it takes a game. For these guys, it takes a day to build on what they need to work on and then go implement it. And that's why they sit here where they sit. Chet Holmgren, 22 points from him, 7 rebounds, 3 blocks. I mean, the rim deterrence when you could finally shake free from, the perimeter defenders, right? The point of attack guys on the outside, and you could slither your way to the rim. You had an amazing Hartenstein weak side block. You had an amazing, Chet Holmgren rim deterrence game where he then picked you up and either blocked your shot, 3 blocks for him, or forced you to kick it out. So you did all that work for nothing, and now you're relying on shaky shooters, and now they're not hitting because they're on the road, and he's forcing you into uncomfortable offense as a defender. And then for his offensive game on the other end, he runs the floor exceptionally well for his size, and he's been able to cap off some big plays in transition that feel like backbreakers, that get the crowd rocking, that force you to call a timeout, and then this crowd stays on its feet the whole time, and now you're a little spooked. I mean, Minnesota looks spooked in this game. I mean, they just look shell-shocked from the word go with their season on the line. And it's because of the big highlight energy-giving plays that Chet Holmgren can provide. The 2 for 4 from 3 was special. I mean, there were tiny instances where like Minnesota could have caught a rhythm, but every time that they had even a little bit of a chip away at that big lead, which hardly ever happened, Chet came through with a corner 3. Chet steadied the waters, and like that defense is huge too. Because how long did this game stay tied at 2-0? I mean, how long did this game stay 2-0 lead for Minnesota or tied at 2? Because of the defense. Like it was a minute and a half stretch where it was 2-0 or 2-2, and then that defense piling up the stops eventually let the Thunder's offense settle in and let them go through the finish line with a blowout win. And Chet's a big part of that defensively, but also a big part of this offensively too. And so Chet just has another great game and a great series against his hometown team. And he's on Instagram right now, partying it up, putting out, if you didn't see, Anthony Edwards made a video saying, "Welcome home, Chet," in the regular season after a regular season win. And Chet kind of threw that back at him after knocking Edwards out of the playoffs and out of the Western Conference Finals for the second straight year. Now, when you look at the rest of this core, like, you'd be remiss without talking about Cason Wallace and Alex Caruso. And these two guys did not have a box score that you would think of when you say that, because they only had 8 points and 5 points respectively. They both shot inefficiently, but Caruso had 4 steals, 3 assists, 3 rebounds in 25 minutes of work. Caruso was just in their heads. He was in their heads. Like we said, he got the steal at the top of the key to then parlay coast to coast with a dump off pass to SGA for the dunk. And Julius Randle just could not take it. He just froze. He had fight or flight and he froze. He couldn't believe it. And then you think to yourself, well, these are millionaires. Of course they didn't go back in transition. You're living in a fairy tale land. Well, and then 2 plays later, guess what happened? SGA, same exact spot on the other side of the court that Julius Randle got his pockets picked from. He got his pockets picked by Naz Reid. Naz Reid's going down the floor, and look who's trucking down there. It's Alex Caruso. And Naz Reid sees Alex Caruso in the rearview mirror. He realizes that objects are closer than they appear. He gets completely and utterly scared and dribbles the ball off his foot. It's another Timberwolves turnover, and then you get the slump shoulders. You get the hand waving, you get the sighing on the court. Like, the body language was terrible for Minnesota after every turnover because they knew it was at stake. They knew that those were mistakes that you can't come back from. And Alex Caruso forced so many of them. And his ability to defend 1 through 5 cannot be understated. His ability to frustrate Julius Randle, then go hold up on Anthony Edwards, and then like just scale up and down the roster in terms of who he's guarding is huge. And then just the steadiness of him. Like, it goes without saying, but his veteran leadership, he's always in the right spots offensively to try to finish off a play. Like, he shot inefficiently 1 for 5. There were great looks that they were from him being in a passing window to help SGA and others kick out to him with a high shot quality look to try to get points on the board. And he just always kind of either pumps the crowd up or calms the team down. He does those little things to help this team kind of coast through a game like this. And then Cason Wallace, this guy can barely drink. He's going to get ID'd tonight if he tries to go out there and have a few, Millers, right? A little Diet Miller out there. He's going to get ID'd out there. And yet, on the biggest stage, Western Conference Finals, closeout game, he's a plus 25. He's a plus 25. He has 3 assists. He has 2 rebounds. He has 2 blocks. He is just everywhere. Getting deflections, discombobulating offenses, and flustering Minnesota. Like, those 2 guys off the bench the Timberwolves will have nightmares about those 2 guys for the entire summer. For the entire summer. And then Lou Dort, 4 for 10 from 3. Of course, all of it kind of happened when the frenzy was already broken out and after halftime, and the crowd was rocking and loving everyone. But Lou Dort played great defense in this one to allow him to be a plus 24. And then the Thunder, could rely on Isaiah Hartenstein to get those couple blocks and couple steals. He had 5 rebounds. Obviously, this isn't the series where you get a heavy dose of the double bigs as we predicted before the series, but he still played well tonight. It was a true team effort from OKC. They got this win. They're back in the NBA Finals, but how did they get here, and how long can this run go? We'll talk about that coming up. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. We're going to spend a lot of time this week talking about the Thunder and the finals and previewing the series. We're going to have our crossover episode with whatever host wins. We're going to have special guests previewing the finals, and we're going to do some reflection. But, it's crazy to think that, everything that Sam Presti laid out in that op-ed in the Oklahoman the day of the trades with Paul George and Russell Westbrook and all that core officially coming to a close, right? That Russell Westbrook era coming to an end. Everything he laid out was 100% and totally true. It's totally come to fruition. This is the exact team and the exact image and the exact identity that he seeked out. Like, you just look from hiring Mark and like how that hire was perceived back then and how it's perceived now as he's wearing a Western Conference Finals hat on his head and getting doused with towels in his post-game interview on the court as they're getting the trophy. Like Sam knew. And I was on the show saying that that's not how Sam operates. Sam doesn't really hire lame duck coaches. Like, this is his guy. And we'll see if it is true that he's going to be able to do this. And he is. He's able to do this. And clearly, he's won Coach of the Year. He's now won the Western Conference. Like, that was Sam's guy. He nailed it. What would Sam always talk about when he was talking about building this roster? He would talk about wanting versatile players and everybody being a playmaker and everybody being able to defend. Well, you've got the very best defense in this sport, the very best defense I've ever seen, and a defense good enough to win a championship. On top of that, you're able to win in multiple ways because you're so versatile, right? Like, tonight, the threes were falling for the most part, but when the threes aren't falling, guess what? Everybody can play off the catch. Everybody's live, as Mark would say, and they're able to distribute the ball. They're able to get you in second actions. They're able to make you rotate, and once you force a team to rotate multiple times, eventually it's just human nature that they're going to have a lapse, and then you can make them pay with that broken rotation and have a clean look inside the arc. Everything about this has been correct. Taking the shot on J-Dub, where it's like J-Dub was a climber in the lottery. He was someone who was getting buzz in the combine portion of the pre-draft process. And, we were hinting at it before the draft. Like, this, me and Mavs draft, you can go back and listen to those shows. Like, we were hinting at, like, it's tough because where do the Thunder kind of slot in to get J-Dub? Because I think that they would like him, but 12 seems a bit too rich. He takes J-Dub at 12, and it's been It's been a great pick for OKC. Chet was his guy the entire time in that 2022 pre-draft process. I'm 100% convinced that they would have taken Chet if they had the first overall pick in the lottery. They end up with number 2, Chet's still there, and they get Chet. But it's like he's nailed every bit of this. And the patience that he's shown through this, the patience that Clay Bennett has shown through this, like none of this is possible without those two guys. It really isn't. Because you see how many times you see owners meddle in after a few losing seasons and try to change course dramatically and drastically. And then now you're kind of caught in this limbo area where you're kind of half pregnant. You didn't quite rebuild. You didn't quite go all in. You kind of just got stuck in this middle ground. And Clay Bennett allowing the vision to take place that Sam Presti had, he's gotten rewarded for it now with a true winner. And this is a team that is going to be set up for a long time. I mean, I got asked this today on Locked On Sports Today. You can go listen to that with Peter Bukowski. What's different for this run versus the 2012 run? First and foremost, like a lot of people look at that picture of Harden and Durant and Russ and look back at it as if it was some Marcus Dupree documentary of like the best that never was. Like, yeah, they never won a title, but man, were they good. Man, were they good for a very long time. Right? Like the Harden trade happened because of the CBA changing out from under them and kind of the CBA restrictions. Guess what? They're ahead of the CBA this time. Like they not only have the CBA in hand before having to make big decisions, they worked intimately with crafting that CBA. And then the CBA, the spike in 2016 allowed KD to go to Golden State. Maybe he would have left anyway, but who knows what would have happened, if they couldn't afford him, right? Like legally, where he would have gone if it would have been back to OKC or somewhere else. So it's like the CBA messed them over. Injuries messed them over, right? Like the Russell Westbrook, Pat Bev thing, the Ibaka injury, the KD injury, like it all messed up some of those runs. And then they were up 3-1 in 2016 over the Golden State Warriors, and they lost. It's like, that was not like some sad story. That was sustained success of being a contender every single year. And this iteration is just better. You have a better coach. You have a player more conducive to winning in SGA, like than, not Kevin, obviously, but Russ. I mean, I think it goes without saying that Shai's play style is more conducive to setting his teammates up for success and being a part of a system better. You have better depth than you've ever had in your franchise's history. And your supporting cast, I mean, who knows if all three will win MVPs the way that Harden and Russ and KD did. But I mean, one of them's already all defense and all NBA and an all-star. So, I mean, and this is, again, a season in which he won those accolades before seeing the pictures and improving in this postseason, much less another full summer. And then the other one in Chet Holmgren is the most competitive guy you're ever going to see. And the biggest, best work ethic you're ever going to see with Chet Holmgren. So it's like the future is unwritten. No one knows what's going to happen for sure. But legally speaking, under the CBA confines, they've put everything in place to allow the Thunder team to keep their top of their roster intact. And they have the resources with their future draft picks to supplement those that they lose. They have the best coach in franchise history. They have the executive of the year and the one of the best, if not the best, for my money, the best executive running the show. And they have an owner who will stay out of the way and who will stay out of the limelight and just enjoy the fruits of the labor of the guys that he's entrusted to run this entity for him. They have the recipe for sustained success. They're going to have sustained success. They're not even in their primes yet, and they're this good. They're a historically great team. So just enjoy it. Don't let 2012 or that iteration cloud anything for you. Just enjoy it, because the 2012 run has nothing to do with this run. And there are so many differences while there's very few similarities. Like the one similarity is they were both young teams that were doubted the entire way and then eventually got over the hump. That's where it stops. Like that's where the comparisons stop, really, for these two teams. And now the Thunder are 4 wins away, and you never want to look past anything. You never want to overlook something. But let's be honest, like the Thunder in 2012, getting to the finals, had to take on a desperate, hungry Miami Heat team that boasted LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. This Thunder team does not have to see the Heatles in their path. Let's just say that. They have home court. It's all out there in front of them. We'll see. We'll preview it all. We'll get you set for it all on Locked On Thunder. But this was a fantastic game, a complete and total beatdown of the Minnesota Timberwolves to clinch the Western Conference Finals as SGA wins West Finals MVP. Make sure that you subscribe to Locked On Thunder anywhere you get your podcast from. Make sure that you leave down below your mailbag questions, because here's what we got for you. After the Pacers-Knicks game, we're going to have a recap show with Brennan Rabar, either previewing the finals if Indiana wins it, or talking about the potential matchup of both teams if Indiana does not win it, and just recapping the season as a whole and previewing the finals from an internal standpoint. We're also going to have a mailbag podcast as long as you drop your questions down below. We're going to have more guests throughout the weekend. It's going to be every single day from now until the end of the finals, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So make sure you go and subscribe to Locked On Thunder and check it out. Until next time, you just have to think about the special ride that this has been on, really. I mean, to get sentimental real quick, now, if you don't care about the sentimental stuff, you can click away. I mean, this is wild. Like, taking over this show in May of 2020, when there was zero basketball happening, and this show was in a awful, awful place. I mean, the hosts before I did not take care of this show. They didn't upload on this show. There was just no base for this show whenever I took over, and growing it to the point that we have. It's all thanks to you all listening and kind of being along this rebuild simultaneously with the actual team rebuilding has been wild to think about. Of like, the next show we do will be talking finals for this team compared to the shows we were doing after Poku was drafted. Right? Like the topics that we were hitting with Darius Baisley, who had a great tweet about the Thunder making the finals. Shout out to Building Block Baisley. Come a long way. Come a long way, old sport. Let's talk about it again tomorrow. Until then, be good and be good to one another.